Am I the jerk for asking my sister's boyfriend to apologize? I, a 22-year-old male, recently celebrated my birthday. For this, I specifically requested that nobody buy me any presents or give me any money. I only asked that they attend my birthday party, which was a dinner at the house, in black tie attire, as my 22-year-old girlfriend had never been to a black tie dinner before. I made formal invitations and sent multiple messages in the family group chat that all made the dress code very clear. We have hosted black tie dinners in the past, and my sister's 36-year-old boyfriend has often dressed up for the occasion, but never put on full black tie. I assumed this was because he does not own black tie attire. Knowing this, I messaged him privately a month prior to the dinner, offering to help him find a suit that would fit and that I would pay for. I found one that was reasonably priced and that I suspected might fit him in a local charity shop. I sent him a photo of it and he said, "Thank you, but it's not my sort of thing." I thought this meant he would not be interested in coming, as he did not reply to my following message. I still gave him a formal invite anyway, in case he changed his mind. On the day, all of the guests arrived in dress code. We had a drinks party before the dinner and played some garden games. Midway through one of the garden games, my sister and her boyfriend arrived, both dressed in t-shirts and shorts. Seeing this, I went over to them to ask him privately why they had not put on black tie attire, as it was the one wish I had for my birthday. My sister's boyfriend replied with, "What are you talking about?" Obviously annoyed, I walked away and did not mention it for the rest of the night. Later in the night, people were asking each other to do speeches, and he asked me to do a speech saying, "I want to hear what you have to say." Throughout the night, they made snide remarks about how ridiculous the whole thing was and how silly we all looked. This really annoyed me, but I still did not give either of them a reaction. I enjoyed my birthday dinner but couldn't help feeling disappointed in my sister's boyfriend and my sister for not showing up with the single request I had, especially since the rest of us dressed up for it. I told my mother the following morning that I would not be speaking to either of them until they apologized for their comments. 2 weeks passed, and I still hadn't seen them as they had been abroad on holiday. The first time I saw them, they said hello, and I told them, "I am not interacting with you until you apologize for the behavior you exhibited at my birthday party." My mother became furious with me over the issue and will not speak to me or even acknowledge my perspective. She is now demanding that I apologize to both my sister and her boyfriend, and that we will never dress up for dinner again. Am I the asshole? In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. If they didn't want to follow the dress code, they shouldn't have accepted the invitation. They showed a lack of respect, and an apology is definitely owed. Honestly, it might be best not to invite them to any future events. Am I the jerk for blowing up at my mother after she told me I ruined her evening? I, a 17-year-old female, have always had a rocky relationship with my mother. Our family has always been on her side, so I just assumed I was in the wrong. Recently, I am no longer sure. For context, I am hard of hearing and wear hearing aids in my day-to-day life. I am not deaf, and I am able to hear decently without them, but I have to focus a lot more and end up missing a lot. My parents bought tickets for the entire family to see an outside play at a castle. When we arrived at the location, I found out my hearing aids did not charge properly. After we sat down, I asked my father to give me the train tickets in case I started to feel unwell during the show. My mother convinced me to wait for the break in the middle of the show, and if I was not feeling well, ask then. I agreed, and as I thought, during the show I could only understand about 3/4 of what was being said. I started to have a headache and feel overwhelmed with the amount of noise and people present. I waited until the break started and asked my father to give me the tickets, telling my family I was not feeling well. On my way back to the train station, my mother called me, thanking me for ruining her evening and telling me I would have to return from the convention a day earlier. My mother and I originally agreed that I would leave early in the morning on the 4th day, so I would not have to travel by train in the late evening of the 3rd day. I was angry and tried to call her back, but she kept hanging up on me. By the time they got home, I was already asleep, and I left early the next morning for the convention, so I did not speak with my mother before I left. I also rescheduled the train back as she asked. While at the convention, my mother called me in a sweet tone asking me why I did not call her when I arrived. I was really angry, so I simply told her I did not want to ruin your day. She was baffled and proceeded to tell me to call her the next day and then hung up on me. She then sent me a long text about how I lost the right to leave the convention when I wanted to because I left midway through the show, something we never agreed to. She also mentioned how I did not properly clean my room, even though she confirmed my room was clean a day before I left, and how I did not properly show her what I was bringing with me. I showed her everything the day before, but she just left my room angry because she kept insisting I bring more shirts despite me telling her I was going to be in cosplay the entire convention, so I only needed something to wear on the way back and some pajamas. I was livid at this point, so I called her and yelled about every one of these points, not letting her get a word in edgewise. She tried to weakly argue back, but I did not let her speak. By the end, she basically just repeated the same point again, at which point I hung up on her. Looking back, I remember hearing her cry on the other end of the line. While she has not acknowledged what happened since, I still feel guilty about it. You did the right thing. Your mother is guilting you into doing what she wants you to do. You are human, and it's perfectly normal to get overwhelmed by things, especially in noisy and chaotic environments. Calling you to thank you for ruining her evening is extremely passive-aggressive and manipulative. You have every right to set boundaries and decide what's best for your well-being. Am I the jerk for telling my friend that she should reconsider her career options? The school district I live in is facing a teacher shortage. My friend Cynthia, a 25-year-old female, decided to go back to school to get certified as a special education teacher because she said it would be a guaranteed hire. Previously, she had retail and commission jobs and hadn't worked with children except for a stint volunteering at a library in high school. I was skeptical because I have a younger sister, Bryce, who is autistic, and Cynthia is always annoyed whenever she hangs out with us. Bryce is high-functioning, is in mainstream classes, and has an individualized education program. She also has a few niche interests that she has almost encyclopedic knowledge of. One of Bryce's interests is Harry Potter. Specifically, there is a character who is coded as autistic in the movies. It was never confirmed by anyone except the actor who plays him that way. Last month, I took Bryce and our brother to Comic-Con. Bryce went as her comfort character and stayed in character, talking to other con-goers about her props and riffing off their cosplays. For example, she asked an Elsa cosplayer about the trolls and if there were other magical creatures in Arendelle. Over the weekend, I was at a party and showing some friends the pictures and videos I got from the event. I showed some video of Bryce chatting with a guy dressed as Deadpool. Cynthia saw it and asked why we let Bryce go to Comic-Con in that outfit, and why she doesn't get into something age-appropriate since she is 16 years old. Cynthia even asked if Bryce is too old for Harry Potter, going so far as to say we baby her. First off, we don't. We indulge in her interests, but we do the same with everyone in our family. Besides, she can handle herself in public. I told Cynthia that if that's how she acts with my autistic sister, then maybe she should consider a different field of work. If she were Bryce's teacher, our mom would have gone straight to the school district and asked that she be assigned to someone else. Cynthia got defensive and said that she is only doing what's best for the students and that the real world won't coddle them that way before she left. Some of our friends think I was being too harsh on Cynthia. A couple of others, including a friend whose brother has Down syndrome, noted that she always acts a little weird around children with disabilities, and that she's in for a wake-up call since she's only doing this to get a guaranteed paycheck and benefits. In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. One of the biggest taboos as a teacher is making fun of a kid's interests or belittling them. She needs to mature some more before she gets to a class because her mouth will get her fired. Imagine how she will treat kids she doesn't have a previous relationship with if she's willing to say that to your face about your sibling. Am I the jerk? Is it wrong for me not to allow my mother-in-law to stay with us? I'll try to keep this brief, but it's a complicated situation. First, my mother-in-law, who is 63 years old, is terrible with money. At 55 years old, she received a £50,000 sterling pension lump sum and decided to buy a house. She lived there until early 2021, when she put it on the market. She confided in me that she was selling because she had accumulated too much debt from renovating the house and was struggling financially. The house was a new build in the UK, meaning it was like a blank canvas. She then insisted I keep this secret from my husband, her son. However, my husband already suspected she was in debt due to her behavior. A few days after our conversation, I told him because I did not want to keep secrets. This confirmed his concerns. My husband calmly approached her about her finances, offering to help if she was open about her situation so we could create a debt management plan. She refused, sold the house at a significant loss, and lost the entire lump sum. Since 2021, she has been sofa surfing, staying with various people until she outstays her welcome. From August 2021 to May 2022, she stayed with her ex-boss and his wife, who eventually asked her to leave. They have not spoken since, suggesting a fallout. From May 2022 to December 2022, she stayed with a friend, but they no longer speak. From January 2023 to November 2023, she lived with a work colleague, but is no longer in contact with them either. From December 2023 to the present, she has been staying with my husband's best friend's mother. During these stays, the most she has paid for rent and bills is around £400 sterling, £600 sterling per month, despite earning about £3,500 sterling monthly. We have tried multiple times since 2021 to discuss her financial situation and offer help in getting her own place, but she has consistently declined, insisting on doing things her way. We stopped trying around December 2023. Her current host told her in June that she must leave by the first week of September. Now she is asking us to let her stay in our spare room. We asked about her long-term plan, whether she has cleared her debts, and how long she plans to stay. We set a maximum stay of 6 weeks. She admitted she has no long-term plan and said 6 weeks is too short to find a place that allows dogs. We offered to take care of her dog until she finds suitable housing. My husband fully agrees with this approach. We have tried continuously to help her before, but she has always declined. I may have missed some details, so feel free to ask questions, but am I the antagonist? I think you are not in the wrong here. It's understandable to have empathy, but she's consistently declined offers to help create a debt management plan and insists on doing things her way. She needs to step up and find her own solutions instead of perpetuating her problems and straining relationships. Stick with the established boundaries and the move-out date to ensure a healthier situation for everyone involved. Am I the jerk for telling my mother-in-law not to call my puppy insulting names? My mother-in-law, who is 67 years old, very active and healthy, has been staying with us for 3 days because I am currently on bed rest awaiting major surgery, and my husband had to be gone for work. My mother-in-law can be difficult and overbearing, often speaking over me and butting into parenting moments. Still, she cares a lot and has driven 3 hours to help us. She has made meals, taken our kids on outings, and even gone grocery shopping. I am truly, deeply grateful for her help. We have a 7-month-old puppy who is mostly my responsibility. I have worked in animal care forever, and the puppy is well trained. People never believe me when I say he is only 7 months old. He is almost always with me. With my mother-in-law taking care of pretty much everything else, our puppy has gotten the short end of the stick and has had little exercise or stimulation for days. I do not blame my mother-in-law for this at all, but his behavior has become a little more wild because of it. My mother-in-law has resorted to yelling at him, tying him up, or locking him up. He has been having stress accidents in the house and barking, which is abnormal. We live in a very rural area and do not have close neighbors, dog daycares, or walking services. My closest friends and family are an hour away. My sister will come up once a week to help. I have mostly kept my mouth shut about my mother-in-law's decisions on handling our puppy since she is helping us out, but I've been getting really upset by her calling him psychotic, out of control, nothing but trouble, never calms down, and other names. I started saying things like, please try to remember he is only 7 months old, everything has changed for him, and he has gotten no exercise in days. My husband came home tonight, and 10 minutes later we had a Zoom counseling session. My mother-in-law insisted the puppy stay with her while we went down to our meeting. My husband heard me saying to my mother-in-law, this is the time of night I would usually take him for a walk or play fetch. He probably will not settle down without it. If you are having a hard time with him, please send him downstairs. She called him a spaz, and I made a comment like I mentioned above. My husband later said I had been a major jerk for correcting his mom and insinuating that she needed to take him for a walk after everything she had done for us already. I think it is cruel to be yelling at a puppy who is not getting its needs met. The whole counseling session I could hear him barking, her yelling at him, and it turns out she just locked him up the whole time rather than send him down like I asked. So, am I the jerk for correcting my mother-in-law? You are not at fault for correcting her, but you have a 7-month-old puppy and work in animal care, so you know how important his care is. You and your husband should have ensured the puppy's well-being, as well as your own while your mother-in-law stayed with you. If you both were aware that you couldn't take care of the puppy while on bed rest and that your husband would be out, you should have made arrangements ahead of time. You did a disservice to your puppy by not communicating this to your mother-in-law. Am I the jerk for not forgiving my friends for their prank? A few days ago, friend 1, who we'll call Anna, called me around 10 o'clock asking if I could talk. She explained to me that earlier that day at noon, friend 2, who we'll call Paola, was acting touchy around her, such as putting her arm around her waist and being visibly close. Anna explained to me that she felt uncomfortable and that she does not see Paola that way at all. I gave her some advice, and Anna told me that she would send a message to Paola like I suggested, and then she hung up. Seconds after hanging up, friend 3, who we'll call Pat, called me. She told me she has some news and that Anna and Paola might be secretly dating. Clueless, I told her that Anna had just called me to explain the situation and that she felt uncomfortable around Paola and was not acting as if she was hiding a relationship. Pat asked again and I told her again. Although I specified that them being together could be a possibility, it was highly unlikely. I did think it was weird since Pat and Anna are best friends and wondered why Anna would prefer asking me for advice rather than Pat. However, I ignored my gut feeling. Then I received a message from Paola asking to talk. I talked to her and she told me she thinks she is gay and has a crush on Anna. She then really emphasized that since I am the only gay person in the group who was not involved, I was the right person to talk to. In the end, I told her to go talk to Anna about it and she hung up. Paola called me and told me Anna and she are together. I could not help but feel like something was off. She explained that they just talked and decided on the call to be together. I said congratulations, feeling a little weird, and asked her if I was really the first person she told. She said yes and asked me to tell Pat about it for her since she just could not. I hung up and called Pat. I immediately knew something was wrong when I heard Pat's yes. It was not Pat's voice, it was Anna's. So I asked Anna. That's when they burst out laughing, all 3 of them. They were together the whole time. They explained that this was a prank and that they were not planning on it going this far, but since I believed them so easily, they kept going. After hearing them say those words, I hung up, turned off my phone, and started to cry when I realized that they just decided to bother me. They made me believe that I was useful in some way, that I was part of our group for once in my life instead of invisible, just for laughs because they were bored. It seemed so obvious when I looked back at it that they were messing with me since I am an easy target. Stupid gullible me who believes everything they said. I feel like I should let it go, but after all those years of just saying nothing and them not realizing that what they do is not okay, I don't think I want to. So, am I the asshole? You are not the jerk. What they did was cruel and manipulative. They decided to mess with your head for their own amusement, and that's not what friends do. This feels low-key homophobic, like they targeted you because you're the only gay person in their group. You deserve so much better than to be treated as a joke by people who are supposed to care about you. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.